What's up, everybody? Welcome to Move the Sticks. DJ Buck with you. Buck, what is going on, man? I see you're in the studio.
Yeah, in studio, man. Getting ready for path to the draft, counting down the days to the NFL draft. So the pre-draft process is in full swing.
Yeah, I'm excited to get in there later in the week. I do understand from Little Birdie, we're going no ties. Sounds like Rhett got his way, which I know I'm comfortable with. I think you, though, you like to dress it up a little bit, Buck. You like to play around with the different tie,
a little bit,
pocket square combos.
I can work around. I can work around it. Charles Davis, though. Charles was
CD's a tie guy.
Not a fan. So we'll see.
I wouldn't be surprised
we'll make it work.
if CD still shows up tie.
Probably so. I don't think this will be as contentious as the tush push conversation at owners meetings, but yes. maybe CD and Red may have a little face off in the hallway, explaining their various sides on why they stand on certain issues.
Well, by the way, just a quick a quick glimpse into CD. For those that don't know Charles Davis as a person, obviously you've heard him call games, you've heard him call national championship games in college, you've heard him call big time NFL games, playoff games. You've heard him on Madden if you played the video game for years and years and years. Charles Davis, one of the best humans alive. I just got another note from him, Buck. He sends these handwritten notes, like as I get ready to get to the draft, about just encouraging you and just what he's an unbelievable teammate. So shout out to CD there on that front. Wasn't planning to go there, but you brought up his name, so I was like,
he's one of the greatest dudes ever. One of the best, I would say, mentors when it comes to how to operate in this space, how to prepare, how to get down, how to survive, how to navigate various different obstacles. He's had a long career. He is the guy that I would say is a phone a friend. If I need a lifeline, a trivia question, he has all the information to do anything. Absolutely one of the best for sure.
No doubt. All right, today we're going to get into some of the stuff that happened at the owners' meetings, because I do think there's information you can pull out of those meetings every year that do help us in our draft prep and some information there that kind of opens some eyes a little bit. So we'll get to that in just a minute. But I do want to give you a quick update. So I did a promotional shoot where we shot some videos. It was with Brock Purdy at NFL Network yesterday. It was with Toyota. And first of all, we get there and we had the camera mounted on the hood. We had all these GoPros inside, and we're going to have these conversations just driving around, right? So, by the way, I did learn when you're doing those with a car company, you have to be at 10 and 2. You can't do that. They don't let you do that. You don't let you use your hand and kind of one-handed. So we did one run through, and they're like cut, DJ, we at 10 and 2, we just be okay. I get it. I mean, I'm going 5 miles an hour, and there's nobody here.
I haven't been at 10 and 2 since driver's ed.
Yes, it was. So when you see these videos come out, you're going to see me talking to Brock Purdy with my hands out like this, locked and loaded. But man, what a great dude, man. I think you have had a chance to maybe spend a little more time with him than I have. I never have really spent any time with him, and so that was the first time really meeting him, getting to know him, and man, you can see why his teammates love him, Buck. And I want to get to you what you took away from him, because I knew you were around him at the East-West game coming out. But I'll give you the one thing that I asked him. I said, what do we always miss about quarterbacks? Like, what is something that maybe we don't pay attention to? And his answer caught me off guard, because I don't know if I've ever heard this. Mm-hmm. He said, I think it's important that you can inspire your teammates, that like, you're someone that they can rally around, and you bring, you've always used the phrase like hope, like you have a franchise quarterback, it brings hope. But he kind of even was more like, kind of, instead of just saying leadership, he used the word inspiration, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Look, I think is fabulous, because I don't know if you've ever seen any of the mic'd up things on him. He got more dog to him than people would know. He's an alpha competitor. And, what I can appreciate him is, as the young people say, like, he got it out the mud. He was a 7th round pick. He was someone that when we saw at the East-West Shrine game, DJ, I didn't know if he was even draftable. Like, he was fine. He had a great career at Iowa State. He's an all-time leader in so many different categories, won a lot of games there, turned the program around. But when you see him on the hoof, like, he's not an impressive physical being. He doesn't have great stature. He doesn't have some of the tools that you see some of the elite quarterbacks have. And what I can appreciate is when he was kind of dealing with the criticism, pre-draft process, East-West Shrine game, getting into training camp, he didn't get bitter, he got better.
Mm-hmm.
He took all of those critiques, and I've heard him talk about being in a room and Shanahan and those guys coming at him and talking about him and asking him to improve certain aspects of the game. And he just went to work. And when he got his opportunity, man, it clicked and it caught on like wildfire. And even now, where people refuse to give him credit for the team's success, he still just goes to work. And, you know, people can talk about $50 million quarterbacks and what it should look like and what tools they should possess and those things. But at the end of the day, man, Brock Purdy, when he's under center for the Niners, they win, and they win a lot. And it's undeniable how different the offense looks when he's the point guard there. Look, man, he's going to get a big contract. He's well deserving. And then the Niners have to figure out a way to build around him to allow them to continue to sustain a level of success with him at quarterback.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, when you spend time around him and you see, obviously we see the numbers and see how efficient he is and how productive he is, but I think he is like the sum is greater than the individual parts with him. Like you kind of, I got it. Like spending a day with him, I definitely got it.
Yeah, the it factor. And I'll say this, man, for your teammates, likability matters at quarterback. Like if guys really like you, and you talked about inspiration, but if guys really like you, they rally around you. You see it in their interactions, how they pick him up when he's been knocked down, how they run to him, and they're genuinely excited when he makes plays, and how he's genuinely excited for those other guys. The one thing that we can look at tape and we can talk and interview, but man, there's a chemistry experiment that takes place with football teams that certain quarterbacks haven't. And I think we've talked about it in times in using like pickup basketball. That sometimes you can take a quarterback and just put him in with four other guys, but his team always stays on the court because they have this X factor. Brock Purdy has some of that in his game.
No doubt. And by the way, it's time for the lead block presented by T-Mobile for Business. Football needs a network willing to go the extra yard. So do you. So go further with T-Mobile for Business. I wanted to jump off from there into one pro day, and then we'll get into what I was talking about at the top about some of these comments from the owners' meetings. But I heard from teams Jackson Dart's pro day was really, really good, man. Mm-hmm. And I know we talk about pro days all the time that it's, let's don't read into it more than you should. But I was listening more instead of just like how he threw it, which, by all accounts was really good. It was like he was in kind of complete control. He was running the whole thing. They took recommendations from the crowd about like coaches, what else you want to see? Like, we'll do it. We'll go through it. But just kind of had a presence about him and handled himself really well. So that's the stuff I think that outside of the throws, that's the stuff that's going to help people.
Well, I'm going to say this, and a lot of people won't know this, but was it Super Bowl Sunday when Jackson Dart was in the building and he sat with us while we were watching the game? I would say I came away really impressed with him. And the reason why I was impressed, DJ, like when you meet prospects doing what we do, you never know how they're going to come off. You never know what they've heard in terms of what you said about them, what they've read, if you've written a critique or those things. But I can say this, he has a blend of confidence and humility that I appreciated. Humble enough to ask about the process and what to expect, but confident enough to know that he's ready to handle what is on the horizon. And as you begin to dig deeper and you look at the tape and you talk to people around the program and you see him handle all these things along the way, the combine, the pro day, and those things. DJ, I have him as QB3, but I'm really confident. And I'm really confident in terms of who Jackson Dart is going to be. I'm confident in not only the intelligence, the toughness, the talent, all of that is there. I think he has that it factor that you must have to be a really good quarterback in our league. And I think the rough moments that we saw at USC, the journey and the odyssey that he had at Ole Miss, that's going to serve him well. I just look at Bo Nix and I look at Jaden Daniels and I look at the people that have had to go through some things to get to the other side. To me, I'm really confident that Jackson Dart is going to be a solid starting quarterback in the league.
Yeah, I think there's more than a few teams that agree, and I'm curious to see when he ends up going off the board. But I would say if you were asking me right now, I think he's more likely to go in one than he is to go in two.
I think so. The team that I would love to see take him, I would love to see the LA Rams take him at the bottom of the first round.
Yeah.
And the reason why is I would love to see his ability to mash up with Sean McVay in a run heavy. I can't even call it run heavy, but a run centric offense that has complementary play action passes that utilizes the athleticism of the quarterback and those things. Because I think about those scripted winners that Lane Kiffin routinely uses at Ole Miss. I know Sean McVay can script some winners as well. And I just feel like that environment or that ecosystem, as they talk about with the Rams, would be perfect and ideal for him. I also think that's about the right spot based on what I saw on tape, how I graded him, where he should come off the board.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. That would be a fantastic fit. That's a wrap for the Lead Block presented by T-Mobile for Business. Football needs a network willing to go the extra yard. So do you. Go further with T-Mobile for Business. All right, Buck. First one here. This is Mike Tomlin. This is him talking about a quarterback, and that is a quarterback in Mason Rudolph. That's why we brought him back. Tomlin said, I'm comfortable with that, with him being the starter. We've been there before. He's a very capable guy. Are you buying that he's comfortable going into the season with Mason Rudolph?
I think sometimes, coaches have a greater appreciation for guys when they leave. And after dealing with all of the things, like I thought Justin Fields was solid for them. Russell Wilson had moments for them. But I think if you're Mike Tomlin and there's a comfort level in terms of guys and fit within the locker room, Mason Rudolph was a Pittsburgh Steeler for a long time. Mm-hmm. Mason Rudolph knows how the Pittsburgh Steelers get down and how they do business. Mason Rudolph is at a point where ego isn't an issue when it comes to being the QB1. Maybe, just maybe, and I didn't know that you were going to take us this, but you know how we always talk about the rookie quarterback being the best way to build a Super Bowl team, because when you have it at that low number, you can build all the other pieces. Well, maybe Mason Rudolph this year, or whatever they signed him to, maybe this is the bargain basement quarterback that they can use to fill out the rest of the roster until they really find the quarterback of the future. And maybe they don't want to rush it, because a couple years ago they reached for Kenny Pickett at 20, because they had to have a quarterback and it wasn't the right one. I think if they really feel like that internally about Mason Rudolph, well, now, man, you just attack the draft like you always attack it. Take the best player that is available at that thing, because if you can line up and play with Mason Rudolph and you literally believe that you can win with him, when that opens up the board for you to make decisions that are best for the team and not based on need.
Yeah, I'm also looking through here. I wanted to pull these numbers up. Think about the Steelers. The Steelers last year, Buck, were passing offense. They were 27th in the league. 27th. Mm-hmm. So let's look at DK Metcalf. Last year, 15 yards a catch. The year before, 16.9 yards a catch. Darn near, right at 17 yards per catch. This was, I've kind of referred to the Steelers as a station-to-station, offense. If you think about baseball, it's just first base. Like there's no triples and home runs. Like there's just none of that. And I thought, and we'll see what happens. I thought when they got DK that meant that George Pickens probably would be trade bait, that he would be on the way out, but he's still on the team right now. We'll see if they carry him into the year. But in some ways, like Najee Harris leaving, who was kind of the face of singles, maybe an occasional double. I don't think he had a run. I don't know what his longest run was, but I think Jim Harbaugh has a longer career run than Najee Harris. I saw that tweet when it happened. So he's not a home run hitter. That's not the style of back he is. But they're going to have more carries from a more explosive player, whether that's Warren, whoever else they draft and bring in there. But they're going to have more explosive runners. They're going to have with DK Metcalf, and if they keep George Pickens, you've got some flyers there. Like it's kind of interesting to see how they would build that offense. But I think in some ways you could even say, okay, maybe from a talent standpoint with Fields and Russ, maybe Mason Rudolph comes in a little bit below them. But if this is what they had to do, I think they still could be a more explosive offense.
So what you're telling me is Mike Tomlin is saying, hey, we're going to bring you back, Mason Rudolph, but before you go up to bat, I got this new little torpedo bat that we're going to put in your hand. We're going to put DK Metcalf and George Pickens on the perimeter, a little more explosiveness. And, by the way, you may have a little more pop in your bat because then you got more explosive options. And now that you talk about, let's be honest, DJ, you said they had the 27th ranked pass offense.
Yeah.
Well, how much worse could it be? Like if we're being honest, How much
The
worse
team
could
won
it
10
be?
games. They won 10 double-digit games with that
Yeah.
last year.
So how much
A
worse could it
wild card
be
team.
with Rudolph? And if you give him weapons and opportunities to push the ball down the field, you got firepower in Pickens and DK Metcalf. We talk about a running back that potentially you can take. Maybe, just maybe, it's the Steelers saying, yeah, we're going to double down and figure out a way to continue to win. And maybe we're talking about preserving the culture in the locker room as opposed to mortgaging the farm for Aaron Rodgers to come in there and potentially wreck a little bit of
Yeah.
the goodwill that they have, the vibes that they have in the locker room.
Yeah, I saw it. I think somebody reported that he was playing catch with DK, though, somewhere that Aaron Rodgers was. So maybe that's eventually what happens, Aaron Rodgers. But even that same thing applies with Rodgers. I think I think the goal would be for this to be a more explosive offense. And I would argue because they traded the 2 for DK, they don't have a 2. They picked 21st, and then next pick is 83rd. If somebody is interested and wants to come up for quarterback, if they're not comfortable taking the quarterback there, if it's Jackson Dart, they might be a prime candidate to say, hey, Cleveland, the Giants, whichever you guys don't take quarterbacks at the top, you want to come back in and still get one? We're open for business, and we'll go ahead and get some of those picks in that second round range that we don't currently possess.
I'm okay with it. Like, I think there are a few different ways to do it. And the likelihood of where they're picking the quarterback jumping in and being a rookie quarterback, being an immediate offense igniter, the odds are against that kind of impact from a rookie quarterback. If you're Mike Tomlin and if you're the Steelers and you're talking about closing the gap and winning now, maybe a veteran presence with a better supporting cast, a more dynamic supporting cast is the way to go for them.
Yeah, no question. We'll see what they end up doing there. But I thought interesting comments there from Mike Tomlin. How about this one? This is from Coach Callahan with Tennessee Titans. We're open to everything at this point. If it's something you feel is beyond the value you ever thought you could get, that's one thing. But you also have to look at what a potential quarterback could look like. Those guys, to me, are priceless. Tip pitches there, Buck? You tipping your pitches? I think that's a tip pitch.
That is a tip pitch. I mean, we all know this, right? And particularly because you and I, on our side jobs, we live in a conference where it's a murderer's row of quarterbacks. I don't care how you slice it. And I know we just talked about Pittsburgh being in the AFC and how they can piecemeal it with explosive plays or whatever. Hey, DJ, at some point, you're going to have to stand on the mound and you have to go and get out Allen, Mahomes, Jackson, Burrow, Herbert, Stroud, Bo Nix, and others. We can sit here and talk about the team thing is going to work, but at some point, you got to have a dude that can put the fire out.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have one, you're chasing, or the margin of error is so small for you to be able to get it done. I mean, that's just a reality. So Callahan looks around and he sees it, and he's like, you got to have one to at least compete. If you don't have one, you don't really have a chance.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the direction in which they're going to end up going there in Tennessee with the first overall pick. Two more for you. Jim Harbaugh was asked about bringing Keenan Allen back. Anything's possible. That would be cool. What Harbaugh said. I don't know. You see anything there? Mike Williams has already come back. They bring back Keenan Allen as well.
Get the band together. Bring the band back together. I will say this. So you did it one way, and look, they did it without last year. Well, sometimes guys have to go away to kind of finally remember how good they had it at their previous destination. Mike Williams, hearing him talk lovingly about being back in the building, talking about the Bolt and those things. And I'm sure he's talked to his teammates and they talked about how cool things may be down there. The fact that they're winning. I think now Keenan Allen's accomplished a lot of individual things. The only thing that's left to accomplish is really winning at a high level. Maybe he is more amenable to coming back and playing without the money being a big part of it. And maybe the charge like, hey, if y'all gonna come back at a price that's team friendly, why wouldn't we take it? You know, it helps our quarterback get better because he already has instant chemistry with those guys. And then it's a matter of having young guys ready to take those roles. But to me, I think it could be a good play. And I think Keenan Allen, to me, look, he's forever a Charger. He will probably be a better fit and more agreeable to some of the things that have to take place for the team to win in LA as opposed to other spots.
if you're Keenan Allen, you look at that situation there. You got Ladd McConkey, who does a lot of his work in the slot, where Keenan's kind of really really comfortable in there. I was almost looking at it, if you get back to the West Coast for sure, that could be an option. But I also was thinking about Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen, where do you go to college, Buck?
Where did he go, Cal? You think you put him in the Bay Area?
No, I'm saying he went to Cal. There's a Cal quarterback who hasn't signed yet.
Oh, you think he's going to be a buddy? You think?
I don't know what the relationship is, but you think about, he kind of complements the two guys in Pittsburgh. If you think about it, I mean, you've got
DK being able to get in there. Yeah, I mean, that's not bad.
Outside flyers. Now you get a real trustworthy slot. I mean, he's a better version of an Alan Lazard who.
100%.
Someone that Rodgers has had affinity for and loved throwing to. I mean, he does everything he does better. So
I know this about you. You don't normally drop little things without
this one. I got nothing.
Crumbs. I know.
I literally got nothing. But
I did wonder, Ladd McConkey, because Ladd McConkey did flourish, and it's like Keenan is really a slot receiver. You have some redundancy, but I just like if potentially you could bring the gang back together. I just know
trust him.
Yeah. I just know if you're Keenan Allen and you haven't had like quality quarterback play the last year or so, and you just know, I know Herbert is a stud, you're probably more likely to be like, man, let me go back and play with a really good quarterback so I can get back to get my numbers and my touches.
Yeah, maybe that's where we end up going there, and that's what ends up happening. All right, this has been kind of the big topic. I don't even think we've talked about this once. It hasn't been as interesting to me as it is to apparently everybody else. But Sean McDermott, still anti-tush push, says he has injury concerns, even though the data suggests there's no injury risk, which I found to be kind of funny. This just seems like, look, the rest of the league's like, this one team is really, really, really good at this. If we can all band together and just eliminate it, I think we all benefit in some way, shape, or form.
I think but I think that's such a weak way to go out. Everyone has the opportunity to be really good at the play. Everyone can devote the time and the resources to really make the play effective for them. The Philadelphia Eagles have found a way to make this a very potent play. And it's a combination of how they teach it, how they scheme it, how they're committed to it, and who they have executing it. I mean, DJ, if you have one of the best offensive lines in football and probably the strongest quarterback, lower body strength in football, executing a rugby scrum, it's going to be hard to stop it. Everyone else has the opportunity to do the same thing. They have mastered the tush push. And I think all of this other stuff is jealousy and envy and just bitterness because they are so good at it. Now, here's the thing. We've seen some teams stop it. But it's hard to stop a lot because they have been really, really good with their execution.
I don't know. I think it is kind of weak sauce. I'm with you on that of just – you all have. It's not like nobody else has the opportunity to do the exact same thing. It's just they crafted a play that perfectly fits their personnel. But I mean, I guess is there an argument of, it's just a non-competitive play because they're so good at it? I mean, like, what are we going to do? We're going to outlaw fades to Randy Moss in the red zone? Like, what are we going to do? Like, well, we can't stop it. That doesn't sound fair.
Yeah, I don't think that's right. And I don't think it should be something where you make a change without the data supporting. There've been a ton of if they've been carting guys off, like the old video game where the ambulance would come on the field and take them off. It hasn't been that. Like, so
I remember that. They couldn't get away with that anymore, by the way.
I mean,
I forgot about that.
If they're not doing that, then look, you got to go. You got to figure out a way to do it. You got to practice against, you got to work against, you got to get better at it in training camp. But it's unfair to penalize a team that's really successful doing it for something that they created and mastered.
I did find the only thing that I found interesting about this whole thing was the fact that Sirianni was going around to all the former Eagles coaches that are now head coaches being like, yeah, you guys better vote. You guys got your jobs because of this thing. You better vote to keep this thing alive. Talking about, Coach Steichen, talking about Kellen Moore, Jonathan Gannon. Like, I better have those 3 votes.
Well, because he only needs 9 votes to squash it. So if he gets his guys to come through, that would help.
Knowing Howie too, Howie's been lobbying, like he's been going around trying to lobby people around the league. But I'll be interested to see what the vote. As we're recording this, there's no finality to it. But I wouldn't feel great about it just because I know the how this league operates, and if it doesn't benefit them, they're going to vote against it. That's how competitive the league is. It is what it is. Yeah. Anything else you want to get into, Buck? I know you got to run, you got a meeting, but anything else you want to get into before we get out of here?
No, man, it's just so much fun to have these topics. And DJ, as we get into it, I'm really curious as we go back and start talking about like some of these last burning questions when it comes to final rankings. You putting out your last, top 50 as it expands. So I think you expanded all the way up to top 100, top 150. Like being able to put the finishing touches on that. Like I can't wait to have some of these conversations because now it's getting real. Everyone's going back into the meetings. We're putting all the data, the medical, all the background stuff in there with the final film evaluation. So I'm looking forward to kind of honing in on some of the players, some of the late risers, some of the late fallers in this draft class.
Yeah, it's also ghost chasing season, so that's what I'm doing, trying to find these pro
Put the pen down.
I know.
Put the pen down. Put the pen down.
Some of these guys end up going, so I gotta find some guys to round out these 6th and 7th rounds. We get some of these pop up dudes, but there are fewer this year because I think the transfer portal eliminated that. Like I'm not watching nearly as many, Division II type guys. Like normally I've got a pretty good chunk of those guys that have a chance. This year there's not many, man. Yes, sir.
The transfer portal has forever changed the NFL draft and has changed March Madness. March Madness
chalk, huh?
It's all chalk. It's all the heavyweights are going. It is forever changed. I never thought that it would have this much of an impact. We talked about it on the NFL draft, but man, college basketball, like March Madness there's no madness. It's just March. Madness.
Somebody, I think it was Jay Wright, brought up a great point that we've never seen this talented of a Final Four. Like all these great players have all banded together, so they're all on just a few teams. So I'm sure the NBA scouts feel the same way we did when we talked about the college football playoff and we talked about the conference realignment. Like we've never seen more good on good than we're seeing now.
If you can't evaluate now, seeing good on good, great players playing against other great players in high stakes games.
Yeah.
As a scout, that's all you want. All you're looking for these high leverage opportunities to see how it could translate to the next level. It's been great in terms of that. Not as fun for the bracket guys that like to, I'm going to go with the number 14. Yeah.
Not this year, bud.
Forget about
that. Yeah. My son went that route. I clobbered him in my pool. Got a bunch of ones and twos, baby. I had a bunch of ones and twos in my bracket.
Yeah. So much fun.
Anyways, yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us today. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. We'll be back Thursday with a new pod. We appreciate you hanging with us right here on Move the Sticks.